All right, let's continue on in chapter 1 here. We got a few questions. This is going to be, I believe, questions 6 through 11 on your guide to reading. So we're going to talk about things like what happened to the Aztecs as European settlers kind of come on over. What was the effect of Spanish conquistadors on native cultures of Mexico and South America? What was the encomienda system? What was the Spanish purpose for settlement in the New World? What was the repartimiento system? I'm horrible in Spanish. What was the impact of Spanish colonization on native populations? So all of those things are going to be discussed in this video. I believe this is going to take you, like I say, from questions 6 through 11 on the guide to reading. So if you have questions, you can kind of consult back to this. Okay. First thing to note is, after kind of where we left off, a lot of these countries, particularly Spain, had seen some success. They found Caribbean island nations like the Bahamas, Haiti, and they had kind of made their way to the Americas, particularly, starting in like Venezuela. So they had kind of found South America, and then eventually Amerigo Vespucci kind of finds the North American continent, renames it America. So these become extremely prosperous. Further settlers are going to keep on, further explorers are going to keep on over. They're going to keep on realizing that South America and North America are vast lands with lots and lots of resources. They're going to kind of, again, we've already seen, they kind of find South America first, and they realize what they have to offer. South America has a lot of silver mines and gold mines, so they're going to find a lot of wealth kind of from those places. Just kind of running down Balboa, the explorer Balboa crosses the Panama Isthmus. So the Isthmus of Panama, sorry about that. Again, that's kind of a landmark. Ponce de Leon finds the Fountain of Youth. He also does something else. He starts to look for native Indians. When he finds native Indians, he enslaves those to bring them back to some of the already established Caribbean islands to work in the mines. You're going to see a lot of these explorers during this time period. They're going to do a similar tactic of getting people to work the mines for free in the means of slaves. A lot of them are going to be those native Indians, whether they're ones they just go out and look for to be slaves, or ones they have captured through their exposure to those groups and eventually warfare and eventually capture. And they're also going to start, again, bringing over African slaves like we mentioned. They're going to, and I think, as most of you know, the African slaves in the United States are going to be what kind of drives some economies, like the southern economy, to in the early part of the U.S. Okay. Magellan circumvents the globe. Well, Magellan really didn't. He died towards the tail end of his journey, so it wasn't quite as fun for him as everybody else. But Magellan circumvents the globe, his crew does, so that's a huge factor, kind of providing lots of intel of, again, how long it takes to go from his homeland all the way around. So he does eventually fulfill Christopher Columbus's vision of going west and eventually reaching China and Japan. That was kind of a big deal. Coronado, the explorer Coronado, explores the American Southwest, like Texas and Arizona and New Mexico. What are those? Cortez, we're going to focus on Cortez, who is going to find Mexico, and he's going to meet the Aztecs in Mexico, and he meets the person that's leading the Aztec Empire, this guy Montezuma, and again, as a sign of goodwill, Montezuma approaches Cortez, gives them these gifts of gold, and as was relayed, the Spanish are just, you could see the greed in their eyes, I think was the quote, with all the greed, and they could see kind of this is the potential wealth that's there. Eventually, Montezuma is enslaved, and that is at the Battle of Tenochtitlan, and that's, I know, kind of a mouthful to say. Montezuma is eventually again, eventually kind of enslaved in the own capital city. He kind of leads the Aztecs to a rally. He pushes those Spaniards out, but the Spaniards keep on coming. They get reinforcements, and in 1521, eventually Montezuma is defeated. The Aztecs empire lies in ruins. So that is kind of what happened to the Aztecs. The leader Montezuma is enslaved. The Aztecs empire is in ruins. Montezuma eventually dies. Somewhere in this mix he dies, and it's just a bad time for the Aztecs. So the Spaniards take over a lot of what is now present-day Mexico and the southwest portions of North America, which is right there. So maybe in the next question, what effect of Spanish conquistadors on the native cultures? Well, that's part of it. Cortez takes over all of Mexico and southwest portion. There's another group that also has a big deal. It's the Pizarro brothers, who more in South America, they are exploring. And just like the Aztecs are in Mexico and North America, they're the group that's risen to power. The Incas are that way in South America, and the Pizarro brothers overthrow the Incas in Peru. They take Ecuador and Chile and Argentina and Bolivia. And the Spanish kind of establish their dominance. And they do this a couple of different ways. Not by sheer numbers, but by using technology. Now, they brought in the horse. So the Spaniards bring the horse over. And up until that point, all that the people of the Americas have seen, all the animals that they have seen are small dogs. So when they bring over the horse, and I guess in layman's terms, it freaks out the Aztecs and the Incas. For a small portion of time, they think it's all one being. Like, they think the person and the horse are connected, so they're pretty significantly freaked out. The other thing is the technology is guns. I mean, that makes for a much difficult task to overcome the technology of the Spanish. The native Indians that are there are not fired up about the Aztecs and the Incans, so they're ready allies for the Spaniards to come over. They don't like being controlled by the Aztecs. They don't like being controlled by the Incans. So the Spanish are pretty easily able to recruit them to fight on their behalf. Now, as they're going to find out when the Spaniards take control, it's just they just kind of replace people that are kind of the overlords. They just kind of replace who's overseeing them. So they're not any more satisfied with the results than they were before. The big thing is disease. The Spanish bring over all sorts of diseases like smallpox and things that really there are no resistance for in North and South America. So the Aztecs and the Incans are just overwhelmed by these diseases, by smallpox and just all sorts of other stuff. It's not a good way to be. Now, as they are controlling, they enact something called the incognita system. I know I messed that up a little bit, but that's okay. Pronunciation is going to be a little easier as we go on throughout the year. What this really is that the Spanish expect a tribute from those remaining. There's not going to be a ton of them. We'll talk about that in a minute. Those remaining Aztecs and Incans, they expect a tribute of either food or silver or something else to kind of line the pockets of the Spanish, which is really why the Spanish settle. They want to profit from these colonies. They want to profit from the silver in the mines, and they want to grow their empires. This idea of imperialism. They also have religious aspirations. They send missionaries over because they feel it is their job to educate what they think is the savage Indians, and they want to spread their religious ideals to those. Okay. They also have something called the repartimiento system, which is simply, like we mentioned before, enslavement. They want to enslave those captured Indians, those captured, whether it's the natives there, but in particular the ones that have been conquered, like the Aztecs and the Incans. They're gonna capture those those Indians, and they are going to use them to work the mines. They also bring over black slaves to work the mines. Free whites also kind of work beside those people to work the mines. Okay, Spain benefits immensely from this. So the impact they have on colonization is, for them, they have huge riches from their colonies in the Americas. This really allows them to surge in power in Europe. They kind of become the team to beat almost. Everybody is very jealous of what's going on with Spain, like in this influx of wealth, and everybody else kind of has an eye on that prize. Kind of what happens in the colonies, kind of the impact is, like we said, the disease particularly is what does this, is the population of Mesoamerica is virtually wiped out from about 2 million, from about 20 million to approximately 2 million in a very kind of short historical period of time. So it is devastating for those Incans and for those Aztecs. The Spanish arrival. Okay. Hopefully you guys got all those questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I will help guide you along, and I will see you soon with another installment as we kind of plod through chapter 1 here.